something to live up to, right?
No pressure.
No pressure. So, as it says, my name is Tom Parker. I'm the Managing Director of a company called PC Worth. We are a company who specialise in education communication solutions. We're based in South London. So, today we've heard a lot about lecture capture, flipped learning, virtual learning, and how they can bring a great many benefits to educational establishments and colleges. And we've spoken at quite high levels generally, and not about maybe the implementation, and in fact, where does the content come from anyway? So, like many concepts, I think that perhaps flipped learning and these buzzwords are perceived as being a little bit daunting and perhaps at risk of introducing a bit too much change for effective implementation or successful implementation. So what I'm going to try and do is give you a little walkthrough of a case study here and explode perhaps this myth and give you one college's story of their experience with our lesson capture system, which is called JUNO. And during that I'll give you some evidence that it can be low cost, low risk, provide a return on investment, and that's just the beginning, frankly. And one of the things I thought was interesting today, and I picked it up today, was that this push for dispersed learning and for e-learning isn't necessarily coming from academics. This is coming from maybe the students themselves, from actually the president of the student union. They're demanding this because that fits in with the way they work. This chap here, this is Rob Gale. Okay, he is the e-learning lead at Craven College. There it is, and this is their new Penny Ghent building that they have. Just move my mouse, so it's off there. And Craven College is a further education college. They have a dispersed campus. They have 3 separate campus sites there, and they cover specialisms such as heritage and construction, equine studies, aviation and vocational qualifications, and so on and so forth. So they're fairly typical in that respect. They've been investing heavily, as you can see, by their new building, but also they are going very, very heavily online. They have a virtual learning environment, and Rob's major thing is to make the best of the virtual learning environment that he has there. Okay, so one of the other things that Rob does is not only is he the e-learning lead, he lectures on management to the aviation students. So not only does he know what he wants, but he also knows how to get what he wants, and he also knows when he's got it. So let's just let Rob introduce himself.
Approach has been this really. As e-learning leader, my role and responsibility in the last 2 years has been to, I guess as many of your institutions, to try and standardise, to try and put more resources and more ability for the students to interact through digital and virtual environments, to get teaching, learning and assessment in a rich context for them. So wrapping up the jargon, what we really want is tools and applications and I guess workflows that work for us and help us to better capture what we do in the classroom, to have replicable content of quality, though
to do, and he had a couple of attempts at it in the past. Video cameras, he tried, but video cameras need setting up. Frankly, the sound was naff. There's a bit of training, then there's a post-production, the editing. Lecturers didn't like being on camera the whole time. Students weren't particularly keen on it either because they had to keep their fingers out of their noses and those things that perhaps they weren't otherwise doing. So Rob knew what he wanted to do, but the technology wasn't mature enough to integrate, or it wasn't mature enough full stop, and it couldn't integrate with his way of working. Enter JUNO. JUNO is a single unit solution, going back to our Swiss Army knife. It's a single unit solution designed for education. Okay, it is purely designed for education, and we're not taking something from some other context and ramrodding it in here. And it is an integrated lecture caption and voice amplification system, which basically means it's a voice amplifier. Okay, this means that what JUNO can do is it can capture whatever is on your screen, be it here, there, whatever it is, and your voice in real time, and that is the important point. So as you're doodling on an active whiteboard, it can capture that with your explanation. So it's got the richness of the lecturer and the content that you've put together there. It's voice activated, which means that you can use it from around the room, and if you're using it around the room, then you don't have to go to the front and fiddle with buttons and keep prodding around with a laptop. Because it is designed for education, it is simple to install and to operate. It is not designed for tech heads. It is designed for people who, frankly, can get on and use it. What does it consist of? It consists of the main tower there and the microphone, which I meant to put on, but I haven't put on. So there's a teacher microphone, which is the rhombus-shaped microphone at the bottom, and then there's an optional stick mic, which you can pass around to the students.
It's going to give us the ability to see real teaching that goes to the board and captures the teacher voice without some video apparatus in the classroom that is often intrusive. It's difficult to manage. You need a third party, or the teacher breaks their stride to record that process, to move to the camera. And when I've tried that in the past, it's been quite clunky and time consuming, and it needs more editing. So that to me was an approach that, once I tried it the first year, that didn't work. And I think JUNO will replace that fairly seamlessly. Once we get the voice commands down and once it understands my accent. And
well, it comes across clearly enough here. So that's essentially what he made of it. And what could it do for you? It could do many different things. Looking again at our Swiss Army knife, where could it be useful? Absentees, essentially, if someone's absent, then they can repeat and review the content that you've given everyone else without having to back up and repeat some content, so you're going to save some time there. Revision, what could be better than reviewing the original content in the original context to really settle it back in your neural pathways? When it comes to assignments, then not only can you set the assignment, but maybe you can demonstrate and add a little bit of richness to setting the assignments as well online. Inclusion and SEN, very, very important these days. If you've got a hearing impairment, a learning impairment, or a visual impairment, by going back over the content, maybe someone with a visual impairment can look at it on their tablet in a context or at their leisure so that they can see it better. And because of the built-in amplifier on JUNO, it is also compatible with any FM system for children with a hearing impairment. So again, you're getting a double whammy with that. And of course, you can review the content as many times as you want. The review, I'm not going to do that, we're just going to go next slide. So, Rob saw us, he saw what he liked, saw some of his bits and pieces, he made contact with us, we sent a couple of emails backwards and forwards, very simple, bunged him a questionnaire, mainly to do with his personal level of engagement, what IT access he had, again, to make sure we got the IT right, and we arranged.
what we're doing with that first is to produce content that takes up a lot of staff time, that is replicable, that is quite simplistic in its process, it's information giving, there's little interaction. So for example, we're doing things on some study skills and hard referencing, we're doing resource centre inductions, we're doing e-safety and safeguarding, presentations, talk-throughs and advice points. And we're wrapping those up with JUNO. And at the moment we're being quite static with it in the respect that we're producing content, the item, the software, the mic is all on a desk. We're running through our content on the screens and the voice of...
With JUNO, these are the benefits that it could bring to you. I can't really explain to you the ones that will be most benefit to you. We are at the dawn of these things, whilst flipped learning and e-learning and distance learning has been around for 10 years effectively. We're still finding our feet with it. I think this is a really important part of the puzzle, and certainly from Rob's perspective it has been very useful. We've followed him through his journey, and this last speech from Rob does go on a bit. It's about a minute long, but just hold on, for there's a couple of nuggets at the end there.
So in essence, I think if this is aimed at FE, HE practitioners or people like myself, e-learning leaders, coordinators, champions, whatever you're called in your institution, I think it's a great bit of kit. And to put that in more formal language, I can see immediate cost-benefit savings. Return on investment for us has been significant. So I'll give you some metrics on that. If we have a member of staff delivering a 20-minute resource centre induction, which is effectively a PowerPoint slide with question-answer, to an area, for students who miss that, or for the groups who don't make those slots, or even to replace that member of staff, we can click remote and put that on the screen, the JUNO output on the screen. So if we look at that, we'd probably induct between 60 to 80 groups in our key induction weeks at FE level. The HE follow on later on. So very rough metrics would be we're probably inducting about 100 groups. So at 20 minutes a time, plus the sort of transition and shuffle through factor, that's probably almost 2 weeks of members of staff time which of whatever rate or scale you want to attribute to a learning resource centre coordinator or facilitator or tutor, then you can do the maths yourself in that that's going to save us substantial amounts of time as we deploy it in those means. So again, we're delivering some sexual health, we're delivering some study skills content that will basically be highly replicable, transferable, and we can remove staff content and start, I'm sorry to say this, cutting costs and time, that we can then divert those resources to better meet the needs of students. In essence, I like it. I wish it was cheaper. I'm still waiting for that totally free one to come through the door. I think it's really, really good, flexible and easy to use. It requires little staff training. I've taken some technologically, shall we say, staff lacking confidence in technology, and I've sat with them and talked them through it, and I have then signed them off to use it, and they will use it to replicate content that they will put into their area. So that's where we are. We like it. We want some more, and I hope that you like it as well. And my contact, though, like yourself.
So there you have it. My thanks to Rob, who I picked up on him because he sent us a feedback form. He said the worst thing about JUNO was that he didn't have enough of them. So that was a very positive statement. So thank you very much for listening. We have a JUNO at the back so that you can fiddle with it. There are some resources out there, including an independent review if that is what you want to see, and you could even win one, but there's some details up there. You can get hold of Rob if you need to through me on that email. He's on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Tom.